Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and I'm going to be taking a look at a brand new game for the King. Full disclosure, I did receive a key for this game from the developer. But that being said, what is For the King? It's an interesting turn-based role-playing game that has a combat system similar to old-school RPGs like the original Final Fantasy games, and it uses a overworld that is built somewhat similarly to a board game. As a matter of fact, a lot of the elements of this game play similarly to the way you would expect a board game to play. And the whole thing with this game is it also has rogue light elements. So what I mean by that is as you play through the game, you will get elements of progression. So I did do one playthrough, and as a result, I got two lore books, and I can use these lore books as currency to unlock more things for future playthroughs. So as we can see, if I were to have 6 lore books, I could unlock another character class, or I could use the 2 lore books I have to unlock some equipment items that will show up in the game world. We have encounters and locations. And this game is also still in early access, so you can expect more development with the game, and you might also see some bugs, although I haven't seen any bugs so far. As a matter of fact, the game does seem remarkably polished so far from what I've seen, and it also has a very interesting art aesthetic. Let's go ahead and jump right into an adventure here. So I'm going to do a solo adventure, although this does have online cooperative play, although it does give you a warning. At this point, they are still developing the online play. They do say that it is stable, but it lacks a lot of features that they're looking to add into the game in the future. But let's go ahead and do a solo adventure. And you can see we're also going to be playing on normal difficulty, but I will point out this game is rather difficult. Now, I initially had planned to only do a first impressions video of this game, but after doing my first playthrough, I actually enjoyed it so much that I am going to consider doing a series for this game. So I'm going to plan to record this as a Let's Play for the future. So as far as the cooperative play, as you can see, it is already listing these characters as player 1, player 2, and player 3. Now, I have not done the cooperative mode, but I wouldn't be too surprised if when you're doing the cooperative mode, whether it be local co-op, as you could see, it did have a selection for that, or online co-op, that the different players are going to play as a set character, and that is kind of how that works. But you can still do it single player, and you're just controlling all 3 characters. So if I were to rename my characters, first off, let's select our actual characters. Now, as you saw in that lore unlock screen, there are more classes to unlock, but what I have available to me from the start is, and we can see a class info here that explains what this class is. And we also have a number of stats here that it doesn't really give you tooltips at this moment. I hope this is something they add into the game. Now, there is a help function that tells you what these different things are. And I honestly am not sure I remember everything. But the best things to focus on is your starting equipment. So the hunter starts with a hunting bow, so he's a ranged combat unit. He also starts with an amount of gold and this is an item that's going to be in his inventory. And then he also has a number of special abilities. Again, there is no tooltip here, but mostly these things that he has are going to boost his ability to do certain skilled things. So we have skill elite sneak, elite trap evasion, and a skill energy boost, as well as called shot. Now, the trap evasion and sneak are kind of passive abilities that just make him better at doing these 2 functions. The energy boost and the called shot, I believe, are actual abilities that he can use in combat or what have you. Then the base stats. For this character being a ranged combat character, from what I've seen, this stat is the most important one. I think it's called awareness. But if we look at some of the other classes, we've got the hunter, we've got the scholar, which is this character over here in the purple. And this is more or less your magic user or a mage. So it starts with the scholar's book, which is how the character casts spells. We have this character, which is locked. It seems like it's a healer of some type. We have a trapper, which is also locked. A minstrel, which I could select. And I have not played with the minstrel, so I don't know exactly what it does, but probably a buffing style character. We have another character that's locked. Woodcutter is also locked. And then we have the blacksmith, which is this character over here in yellow. So I think I'm going to go with the base setup of hunter, blacksmith, and scholar. So with that being said, let's go ahead and rename them. And I think I'm going to call this guy Robin Hood. And over here, the blacksmith, I'll rename Little John. And player 3 will be Friar Tuck. I'll just call him Tuck. And you can also change your color. So if we're going to be doing the Merry Men, well, Friar Tuck should probably wear brown because he's boring like that. Little John, I'm fine with yellow. So we've got green, yellow, brown as our main colors. You can also change the skin tone and the hair color if you so choose. But I think that's fine. You can also randomize the party if you want. But at this point, there isn't a ton of customization. So this is more or less the story for the campaign or the adventure. So just to summarize it very quickly, there was a heroic king, and while he reigned, everything was great, but then he got old and chaos came and murdered him. So now the queen is tasking heroes to come out and fight the chaos. And that's more or less what the story is. All right, so this is the queen. All right, first the wizard Vexor vanishes, then my own husband was slain in his palace. You may be the last hope of Faerul, which is the land. All right. And it does seem like this is procedurally generated because this is very different than the layout of the map of the first time I played. All right, so seek out Hildebrand and Woodsmoke. You will be told how best to aid our efforts. Once you receive your quest, you must complete it within 14 rounds. Otherwise, our kingdom will be consumed by chaos. So that is our initial quest. Now, it seems pretty simple, but these quests tend to be pretty branching. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and I'm going to try and explain it to the best of my ability. So the first thing we have here is it's Robin Hood's turn. He's going first, and he has just rolled for his movement. This is how many movement points he's going to have. So what happened is he had 5 possible movement points he could roll, 2 of which are automatic. The ones in yellow, he's always going to get at least 2 movement points, but the other 3 he has to roll for. And depending on how his roll goes, he's going to get a varying amount. So 5 is the maximum he could have possibly gotten. Every character, before they start their turn, is going to get the same roll. I believe the hunter has a tendency to get more movement points based off the stats. This is an assumption I make. So usually we'll roll higher. All right, so we're going to click to continue. And this is our map. So it's a hex map, and we move around it in a turn-based fashion. And if I hover over a space, you can see numbers appear, and this is showing how many action points I'm going to have left if I move into that spot. So if I move here, I have 4 movement points, 3, 2, 1, until I'm done, 0. You can continue to move beyond that if you use focus points. Focus points are these yellow hexes above your character, but these are very important points because you can use them to help you pass a lot of different things, usually skill checks, which, as I said, this plays very much like a board game. I just rolled for my movement. I also rolled to succeed at a lot of things. So there is an element of RNG in this game. So other things with this character, I have my inventory. So if you took a look at the description of this character, we knew that I was going to start with Hermit Grass, and every character will start with this tent here as well. I can't use it right now because I'm in a town, but when I move out, you'll see that I can use it. I do eventually want to move up this way to get to my objective. So let's go ahead and move out of town so you can see that. Okay, so now you can see this is available. This is a tinder pouch, and it allows me to make a camp. The camp is temporary, but while it's out there, any of the heroes can spend a turn resting in there, and they can either regain focus by meditating, or they can rest up and get back some health. So pretty useful, but once you use it, it's expended, and it is only out on the map for a few rounds. Now, as far as the turns go, these are the number of rounds that we have in a day. So there's 14, as they mentioned in the beginning where I had 14 rounds to complete my quest. You'll see that this skull at the very end, this is the quest deadline. If I get to this deadline and I have not completed my quest, we're going to get something called chaos. You see these hexes here that are empty? This is our chaos. Currently, we have 0 chaos, but if I were to go to this deadline and not complete my quest, I would get a chaos point. As there is more chaos, things on the map is going to get crazier and crazier and more difficult. If I lose one of my heroes, if one of them dies, I can revive them, but every time one of them dies, I will get more chaos. And once I get full chaos, there will be, I forget what it's called, it's some kind of a demon beast thing that comes out. And when it's out, you cannot no longer revive, and if you lose all of your heroes, then game over. If you lose all of your heroes at the same time, also game over. All right, so let's explain some other things that are going on the map. So we see these monsters here with the red hex. These are enemies I could potentially fight. And as you can see, as I hover over them, we see that I can engage them in combat. But you might see a number of hexes on the map turn red when I do this. This determines who will be involved in the combat. So anyone that's within these red hexes will be involved in that combat. So you can see my other 2 heroes that are in my party would join me in this combat, but none of the other enemies would. This is a good thing, as more enemies that are involved, the more you have to fight. And obviously having friendlies involved in the combat means that you have their assistance. And the combat works, as I said in the beginning of the video, very similarly to an old school turn-based RPG. We also see that there is a hero stone here, which would give me experience if I walked up to it. And really our objective is to get over here as quickly as possible. Now, when I engage one of these monsters, for a lack of a better term, we'll say enemies on the map, I actually have a number of options of how to deal with them. I could just do straight combat, which is kind of what I explained how it works. Or I could ambush the character, I could evade them, or sneak past them, technically, is the correct term. Or I could just retreat from the combat. Now, as far as I've seen, none of these things on the map will move around, although once you get into nighttime, things get more dangerous, and I'm not exactly sure if more things happen. In my first playthrough, I got to nighttime, but it gets complicated what happened, but I didn't live much longer past the nighttime, and I didn't really get to see the effects of what nighttime did. So that's something that we're going to learn. But I'm going to go ahead and try and move in a way that I can get over to this town. But there is some fog of war. I actually don't know what the best route over there is. It could be this way. I would have to fight my way through or sneak past some enemies here. But on the other hand, it could be this way. But I don't know. There might be a mountain range or something. But I'm going to go ahead and just go to the statue here. We're going to pay tribute, which is going to give me some experience, as we saw when I hovered over that. But I can also, well, this is just going to give you a basic tool tip on telling you what this is. But I'm going to go ahead and pay tribute, which gives me 12 experience points. And we have one more action point to spend. And it does look like, now that I've got the fog of war, that I can see through that this is a through path without any enemies. Although I may uncover stuff too. Just because you can't see it on the map doesn't mean there's nothing there. So I'm going to go ahead and move over this way. And another thing that we see here. All right, so this character didn't roll so well. They got their 2 automatics, but they only rolled 1 other one, so we get 3 movement points overall. But over here, we have a sanctum. Now, sanctums are special. A character can go up to it and devote themselves to it. More or less, you're devoting yourself to a god, and that god's going to give you a bonus. First off, it's going to fully heal you, so if you have any damage done to you, you're going to get healed. But it also gives you a permanent bonus of +2 movement. It also has another effect, though. When a character dies, if they've devoted themselves to a sanctum, they will not create any chaos. But the sanctum will crumble, and any bonus you got from it will be permanently removed from the game. So it is kind of a get out of jail free card, but you don't really want to lose that bonus either. All right, so with my 3 movement points, I'm just going to go ahead and move over this way. I might engage in combat with this blood bird just so you guys can see how it works. It depends on how many movement points I get. Another thing that I'll point out is I start with the scholar, a teleport scroll, which allows me to teleport at very far distances and then move. So it's pretty powerful, but I'm not going to use it at this particular point. Okay, my other character only got 3 movement points, so I'm not going to be able to engage in combat just yet. But I think... Ooh, there's a big baddie up there. I kind of wonder if I were to click on this character... Oh, I can't move there. I'm not sure if I would be in range of fighting there. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my other character on top of the first. You can have more than one of your characters in a space. Okay, so Robin Hood got good movement points again. Alright, so as I can see here, if I were to attack this forest troll, I think it also gives you a difficulty, doesn't it? Yeah, I think the difficulty above the head of the thing you're attacking gives you an indicator of how easy it is to defeat. So technically, if I had attacked the hag, that would have been the better deal. Oh, yeah. So this guy is kind of a tough fight. Now, right now, as we can see, if I were to attack him, I would also draw in the killer bee swarm, which I wouldn't really want to do. So what I could do instead is try and ambush him. If I ambush him, only he is going to be drawn into the combat, not his other friendlies. But I believe, if I remember correctly, my friends get to join in, and I also get an initiative bonus. So we're going to try and do that with our hunter. This is still a very risky combat, but considering that this is right nearby, I think it's worth it because we can always just get a heal bonus right away. So let's go ahead and jump into a combat here. And we'll get to see how this whole system works. So this is the ambush that I'm trying to do. And we can see this is the skill that we're going to be testing, which is that awareness skill that I told you about earlier. And the one thing that the hunter is actually pretty good at. So right now, if I don't buff this at all, my success chance is 47%. Now, if I fail, which we can see, pretty much what I need to do is I need to get 3 successes to get a success, which is what it's saying right here. If I do anything else, it's a failure. I can modify this by using focus. So if I right click, I use 1 focus point and I'm giving myself an automatic success. So now my success chance is all the way up to 77%. I could continue to do this as much as I want. And if I want to just straight up pass this and have no chance of failure, I can do that. But if I hover away and then come back, I can choose, let's just say we put in 1 focus point. We don't want to burn all of our focus, but we also want to try and succeed at this ambush. So let's go ahead and do that. We succeeded. So we managed to ambush him. Note, he's the only combatant. We're not fighting that other swarm of bees. We're just fighting him. Now we're into the combat. So the combat's turn-based, and we can see the initiative track here. So the person on the right is the one that is currently acting, and as you go down towards the left, you'll move this way. So our scholar would be the next to act, and then our blacksmith. And then finally, the enemy would go, and then we would start the initiative order back over. All things depending on what your initiative is. Now, because we ambushed him, we get a bonus to initiative, so everybody's going to go before this forest troll gets to go. Now, as far as my actions that I can currently do with Robin Hood, who's the current character that is selected, I can just do a normal shot. And again, I can burn focus. As we see here, we have the awareness skill. I have the possibility of getting 3 successes for the best result of this attack. I can burn focus to ensure an automatic success. If I burn 3 focus, then I'm going to get the best result I can. Otherwise, I'm going to be rolling for it, and I really don't know how many successes I'm going to get. And usually speaking, it depends a lot upon who you're fighting, how many successes you need to do to get certain things to happen. My other choice is I can do a snipe shot. What this does is if I get a perfect, which means I get 3 successes, I ignore his armor value. Now, as far as the characters go, armor is the blue thing here. We have resistance, which is going to be resistance against magic attacks. And then when we have evasion, which is more or less your dodge chance. So if I were to succeed at this, and again, get a perfect, which I have a 68% chance of being able to do, then, actually, is it per slot? Yeah, so I have 68% chance of getting a pass with each of these. So I'd have to get all 3 to pass, each of them being 68%, to get the bonus of this, which is ignore armor. Well, I don't know how much armor value this guy has, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a normal shot so we can see how that works. So I get 3 successes. Bam, it did 6 damage, which was the maximum. All right, so now it is my scholar, and we see a different skill here because the skill that the scholar uses to attack is different from the one that the hunter uses. This is, I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, but it's more or less your intelligence, your mind power. So again, we have a basic attack, and if I get a perfect, I ignore any resistance the troll may have, but I also do 5 damage. And then we have this, which is focus, and it's an area blast, which is not going to be really useful for this combat because there's only one opponent. So we're just going to go ahead and do our normal surge attack. We also have the option to flee if we want to. And then we have this stat, which is the same stat we use to move that we would test. Of course, we're not going to flee. We're just going to do a normal attack here. So this was not a very good roll, so we didn't do our maximum damage there. It's quite possible we would have missed as well or had our attack blocked. A lot of it depends on what you're using to attack and what their defenses are. All right, so I have a couple choices here, actually 3 choices. I can focus. What this does is if I pass both of these, I'm going to draw attention. I'm going to taunt my opponent so that they'll attack my blacksmith. The reason I want to do this is because the blacksmith has better armor value than the other 2 characters I have, and also more health. This is more or less the tank of the group. Or I can just do a straight attack, which would do 10 damage, or I can do a shockwave attack. And if I get a perfect or successes, then I do 5 splash damage. Now, again, there's only one opponent, but if I had more opponents, then that would matter. It would be an area effect attack if I got 4 successes. Which it shows you there, perfect chance is 19%, which is not very likely. I'm just going to go ahead and do a basic attack here, though. We got 2 successes, so we didn't do full damage. All right, so it looks like Robin Hood got to go again just based off of the initiative. It looks like at this point, we know for sure the troll's going to go after him, though, and then it will be our scholar and our blacksmith again. Maybe. We'll have to see how this resets. So I think we were pretty successful with just doing our normal focus attack, so we'll continue with that. This time we didn't get a perfect, so it didn't do quite as much damage. Now it's the troll's turn. He got a lot of successes there, and as we saw, he's a little bit more difficult of an opponent, so he does a lot of damage to us. This is not really an opponent we would normally want to tangle at this early stage of the game, but we went for it just to demonstrate how the combat works. All right, so let's go ahead and hit him some more. Okay, we got a perfect attack, so we did all 5 damage. And I'm hoping we'll be able to finish this guy off before he gets to go again. Although, I'm not sure if that's going to be the case. We'll just have to get lucky here. Oh, that's not particularly lucky. Okay, so now it's up to our warrior. Again, we have to get lucky here. I could burn focus to ensure at least 1 success here. So why don't we do that? Now we see our chance here is a little bit higher. We got a full attack. So he's only got 1 health point left. So at this point, I'm pretty confident we're going to smoke him. So there we go. Full attack here. Bam. Dead. So he did manage to pull off 1 attack. Now, the good thing is we pulled off that ambush, which allowed us to get a lot more attacks on him because of the initiative bonus that we got. All right. So Traveler's Hat, this is common item. I think we go ahead and equip that to Robin Hood because it already looks like the hat he has. By the way, these things do show up on the models. They do have a visual element to them. Let's see if we actually can tell. We'll go ahead and equip him here. It's going to boost him in these stats. So it does look slightly different than the hat he had before. Unfortunately, that was the only item we got. Sometimes you'll get more than that. And I think what I'm going to do is take Little John here and have her go over and do the Sanctum to get her full heal, but also get the stat bonus of +2 movement. All right, well, I'm going to continue to move so that we move over to Woodsmoke because that is our objective. And we also have a hag that we might be able to fight along the way. Oh, I accidentally burned. I didn't mean to do that. I right-clicked. I accidentally burned a focus point there. That was a mistake. That's all right. I'm going to have to get used to that. The right click is focus. All right, so I've already decided that it's going to be Little John that goes to the sanctum to fully heal. So I think what I'm going to do is have Tuck just move here. And I'll just full move. Do there. Ooh. What happened there? Okay, so a bandit just popped up. So I could go around the bandit because I've got a lot of movement. And I'm not exactly sure how I got all that movement, but we can go around. And then 3, 4, 5, 6. We should be able to get to the sanctum if we go around. This way I don't have to try and sneak past. Oh, and this is stuff that can happen. So we've got a drinking contest. All right, a round lady is hauling a cask of ale. I can outdrink the likes of you, she shouts. You wager? All right, so here we go. This is what we have. So if we attempt, without buffing this at all, I have a pretty good chance of succeeding and getting a certain amount of gold for the wager. If I fail, I get a poison effect, which is bad. I think that what I'm going to do is just burn 1 focus point. Oh, actually, I cannot burn focus. Some things that show up, some random events, you can't. I'm going to go ahead and attempt it anyway, though. And we managed to get 8 gold. So that actually worked out for us pretty well. And then I'm going to devote, which is going to fully heal Little John, but also give her the bonus of the sanctum. All right. That worked out for us pretty well. And we still have quite a move bonus going on here. I think I am going to try and attack this hag. Now, if I did that right now, though, it would only draw the scholar in. Now, one thing I would point out is that range combat units actually have extra range as far as their combat range. And usually this is denoted by a yellow hex. Now, I don't know if that's showing right now because we're playing as that character. But if we were playing as the scholar, for instance, even though it looks like the hunter is out of range, he would actually be within range of this combat. It would still draw him in. I think we can handle a hag without the blacksmith. So let's go ahead and do this combat. I might try an ambush again. But if I fail, not only do I not get the ambush to fire, I also get a penalty to initiative. So I think what I'm going to do is just do a normal combat because we don't really see anyone else in the zone. So the other benefits we'd get from the ambush are not really going to be there. Alternatively, I could just sneak past her, which would be a 78% chance of success, which is pretty high. But I want to fight her. Now, I could sneak past her and just go to wood smoke. You know what? I'm going to try that. Let's go ahead and sneak. We failed. All right, so we drew the combat anyway. I'm going to assume that we're at a penalty as a result. Oh, maybe not. All right, well, let's go ahead and attack her normally. Because I don't think she probably has much in the way of armor. All right, and the sound effects up here sounded a little loud to me. I apologize. I can't really do anything about that right now, but we'll probably turn it down in a future video. Let's go ahead and attack. Pretty simple stuff. And down she goes. We took a little bit of damage there to Robin Hood, but nothing too serious. And let's go ahead and go to Woodsmoke. All right. Always good to see new faces join the quest. I'm Hildebrandt, the Queen's agent, overseeing things in the Guardian Forest. Things are bad here, really bad. All signs point to some evil folk hatching a plot underground. The deepest caves in the region are accessed through the glittering mines, but they've recently been sealed with dark magic. My sources have spotted a strange contraption here in the Guardian Forest. Go investigate it. I think it's our best lead. Okay, so this is pretty much the same as the first quest I did the last time I played. So As much as the map is procedurally generated, it appears the quests are about the same. Now, that might just be because we're still at an early development stage for the game. We also, once we get to town, we can do a number of things. We have services. We can spend gold, which is here, on the inn, which would heal us up a little bit. We can meditate, which would give us focus back, which honestly I kind of do need, although that would burn all the gold I have. Alternatively, I can go to the market and I can buy goods. Now, the goods, from what I've seen, are pretty expensive, so I'm not likely going to be able to afford this. Now, I can sell items, although I don't have that many items, so I don't think we'll be selling anything, and we are using the items we have. And then we have a quest board. Now, the quest board is more or less side quests that you can do on your journey. So let's say we want an item. So we have a delivery job. Let's select that, and it'll tell us what it is. All right, deliver this pouch to my mother-in-law in this town. Be very careful, it's rather fragile. Don't look inside if you know what's good for you, and never mind the squeaks. All right, so deliver the lockbox to this location in the Golden Plains. And if we do that, we get Fated Pearls. Alternatively, we can do a bounty mission. And this is just, there's something on the map, kill it. And then you get reward, which is 24 gold. I'm going to go ahead and accept the delivery mission. And that's where we have to go to do it. So we have to get Robin Hood, which more than likely has the quest item, over to that location. Doesn't seem that hard, especially as he is more mobile. And as a matter of fact, we do have another movement point, which I think I'm going to use. And every so often you get this effect too. It's called a nice day, and you get a couple extra movement points. So we'll get to move over here. And another thing I'll point out is you can trade inventory between different characters. So let's just take a look at that really quickly, and then we'll wrap up the video. So if I look at my inventory, this is what I have in it. And you can filter things based off of what you're looking for. But this is everything that that Friar Tuck has. But I can also, on Tuck's turn, look at Robin Hood's inventory. There's no problem with that. So let's say I wanted to pass the lockbox over to Tuck rather than have Robin Hood carry it. Well, all I have to do is click on it, and I can say give to, and then I would give it to the scholar who is near enough by. You don't have to necessarily be on the same space with the character. I think you just have to be adjacent. But that's more or less how you can manage inventory. So when I was getting loot, I could choose who got it. If I chose to give Robin Hood something, I can later just pass that over to Friar Tuck, no problem. So you can share inventory freely in that way. This is very much a cooperative game, and it's built along those lines. So in any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed this first video taking a look at For the King. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.